Hi there, it's Marva Riley. Is stress killing you? Is stress killing you? Stress is killing a lot of people. More and more, I am hearing of folks that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, all ages, just dropping dead from massive heart attacks and strokes. And many of these people, it's not necessarily that they had pre-existing health issues, but they were excessively stressed out. For example, recently my sister who lives in Jamaica was telling me that a lot of young people that are not obese, although I'm sure they're probably eating the bad food like the ones in the US, but they are excessively stressed out. And many of them are dropping dead from excess stress. Recently, there's a friend of mine that I had not seen for a while, and I mentioned the name to someone else, and they told me that she had moved back to Haiti, where she was from, because she became so very sick unto death. Her physician told her that she had to choose between her health and her life and her business. You see, she ran a very successful finance business. It was very intense. And for the last several years, she had been very, very, very stressed out. And it just, she got a lot of wake-up calls. But she didn't listen until eventually, like me, several years ago, she literally crashed and burned. And her doctor told her that she had to give up the business or she would die. I also have other friends that are in their 50s and 60s and early 70s that are undergoing excessive stress and stress-related illnesses like heart disease and hypertension and diabetes and gastric reflux. You know what I mean? Inability to sleep because they stay excessively stressed out. Stressed out from helping their grown kids with their issues, their finance issues, for example. Because so many young adults can't even make it on their own financially. Some of my friends are stressed out helping their grown kids with the grandchildren. They're stressed out dealing with partners that have health issues. You know what I mean? So they stay stressed out and they're in their 60s, in their early 70s, late 50s. And now all of this is coming to a head and they're suffering major health issues to the point where their physicians are saying, listen, you just got to do something about it. I remember years ago when in the nursing field, as I've said before, I've been a nurse for many, many, many years, and most of my experience has been in critical care, very intense. But I got to the point where I was burnt out. I was stressed out. I couldn't sleep. I was having all kinds of health issues, and many of those health issues were related to excess chronic stress. The headaches, the migraines all the time, the sleeplessness, the gastric reflux, heartburn, the bloating, H. pylori, irritable bowel syndrome, joint pain. I have young friends, young people in their 30s and 40s that are going to the emergency room very frequently to get treated for heartburn and acid reflux, where there's so much acid in their stomach that is literally burning holes in their stomach because of excess stress from their jobs and their family and their finance, etc. Now I know, we all like to have nice things, but sometimes for the sake of our health, we have to make some radical decisions. Radical decisions to downscale our lifestyle so that we can make time to take care of ourselves, make time to cook some healthy foods, make time to do some exercise, make some me time, make time to have fun. And you can't put it off for the next 5 years or the next 3 years, because you don't know what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow isn't promised. You know what I mean? Sometimes you say to people, make time to have fun. Oh, when I retire in 3 years, I'll have fun. Who tells you that you're going to be able to retire in 3 years? Many people aren't. A family member of mine who is like in their 40s has another friend who is in their 40s who had a very stressful job. And one day the man sat at his desk and he just literally keeled over dead, leaving his 2 children, young children, and a wife. So tomorrow isn't promised. You got to make the decision now to slow down, to cut back on your expenses so that you can live a simpler lifestyle, so you don't have to have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, that kind of thing. So many people have 2, 3 jobs just to make ends meet. But for what? For what? You know what I mean? I used to have 2, 3 jobs, and to be honest with you, things were never any better financially, because as you make more, you spend more. As you make more, you spend more. I remember years ago when I was a youngster, there were some folks that were very desirous of homeschooling their children. So some of them, they had mortgages and they gave up the mortgages and moved into small apartments in the inexpensive areas. They got rid of 1 car or bought an older car, just 1 car. Some of them no car. Depends on where they lived. They homeschooled their kids and they would buy like thrift shop clothes and always looking for sale and stuff, just so that the mom or one of the parents could stay home with their children. Well, that was their priority, right? So it depends on what are your priorities? Do you want to live a low stress life? Do you want to have time to have fun? Go to a concert, for example. Spend time with your partner, with your friends, with your family members. Take care of yourself. Do you want to have time to do that while you're young, while you can? Well, you might have to make some tough decisions, like these people who wanted to homeschool, like the FIRE movement that I know my daughter is all fired up about. The FIRE movement stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early, where some people have said, listen, we want to live now. We don't want to wait until 10 years, 5 years. We want to live now. We want to do the things that we like to do now. So we're going to give up the expensive living in New York or wherever it is. We're going to move somewhere where it's cheaper. We're going to move into a tiny house or a mobile home or live in our trailer or something like that. We're going to have an older car, no car, we're going to bicycle, we're going to walk, we're going to grow our own foods, whatever it takes for us to have time to live now and to enjoy our lives now. Because the thing is that something always has to give. You know what I mean? Most times we can't have our cake and eat it at the same time. Most of us want to have our cake and eat it at the same time, but a lot of times it's not possible. So if you want peace of mind, if you want time to enjoy life, if you want to spend time with those that you love and yourself, if you want to have mental and emotional and physical health and well-being, if you want to live today, you've got to be willing to make some tough choices and do some radical things. I know that many years ago, when my hubby and I, we decided that we wanted some things to change. We didn't want to continue on the grind and killing ourselves with work. We knew we had to make some radical changes. And we lived in South Florida. We love the weather, we love the beach, but we realized that South Florida was just too expensive for us. So we were looking at the Caribbean, we looked at the Philippines, we looked at India, we looked at Latin America, and we looked at other cheaper places within the US that we could actually buy a cheaper house and to live, and then we won't require as much money to live, you know. And that's how we ended up living in Georgia, because you can get a lot more real estate for your money. And so I don't need that $100,000 or that $50,000 to live. I can actually live on 10% of my income, for example, because we saved enough money so we could buy a little house and not have a mortgage, and we still drive our old cars and we don't have any debt. You know what I mean? So something has to give. We have to make some sacrifices, and we have to be willing to make some changes if we want to get rid of that excess stress. You see, some stress is normal. It's the excess chronic stress that is making people very sick and killing people. While I was thinking about doing this video, I quickly hopped online and I read an article written by the American Psychological Association, and I want to read some of the long-term effects, some of the effects that long-term excess stress can have on our bodies. And this is not all that they said, I just picked out a few. So long-term excess stress can lead to heart disease, can lead to the increased risk for hypertension, increased risk for heart attacks, and increased risk for strokes. It can lead to increased inflammation in the body, which leads to increased body pain. And increased inflammation in the body can lead to other issues like heart attack. It can lead to fatigue. You know, sometimes you're walking around, you're so fatigued, you have no energy, feel so listless. It's because you're excessively chronically stressed and you're not sleeping. So much on your mind. You work Monday to Friday. Saturday you're busy doing all kind of things, and Sunday you have to start planning to go to work again. You know what I mean? It can lead to diabetes and obesity. You know, when you're excessively stressed, you reach for that donut and the unhealthy foods instead of a smoothie, for example. Can lead to depression and immune disorders, where your body turns against itself and start killing itself. You know what I mean? Stress kills. Acid reflux. So many people walking around with heartburn and acid reflux. And ulcers from excess stress. And when you have the acid reflux and the ulcer in the digestive tract, that also predisposes us to get cancer, constipation, even sexual dysfunction that so many suffer from can be as a result of that chronic excess stress. Menstrual issues, having your period too early, or your period too late, or you're not having a period at all. Sleep problems that a lot of people walk around with, chronic sleep issues, because we're excessively stressed. So you got to prioritize yourself, my friends, and it's really decision time. What is most important to you? Is it more important for you to live in a nice fancy house, drive a nice fancy car, and go on a nice fancy vacation, or is it more important for you to live a modest financial lifestyle so that you can enjoy the things that really, really matter? Enjoy going outside and hanging out with nature, enjoy going to a concert, enjoy hanging out with your friends and your family, enjoy sleeping in a little later, that kind of thing. You've got to prioritize, because you know what? Life is short and tomorrow isn't promised. So today you got to make time to live, and you got to live as if today is the last day that you have, because tomorrow really isn't promised. Like I said about my friends, the doctor told her that you have to choose your business or choose your life. And thank God she chose her life. Make a decision not to live your life chronically stressed out anymore, and start making some plans to take back your life and live again. All right. I hope this talk helps you. And I know I had to make some radical changes because I just needed to. It was so expensive to live in South Florida. I had to move somewhere else where I could actually live. Live cheaply, live cheaper. And there are many places like that. Folks are moving even to the Caribbean. Like, I'm from Jamaica. There are many people that at 62 they're collecting their social security and they're heading back to Haiti, heading back to Jamaica, heading back to Mexico, where that money can stretch. Because in the US it's so hard. And there are places in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, where I am, where you can actually live inexpensively.